Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T. I'm here with Ed Soares. Of course, we know you've worked with Anderson for so many years now. When I look at the return of him, when I look at the resurrection, I'm really wondering what was more difficult to get past, the mental struggle of the comeback or the actual just physical getting back to the gym and doing it?
I think the physical, you know, when you look at the sort of injury he had, visually it's horrible. The pain is excruciating, but the recovery is actually quicker than a knee surgery. So when you look at it from that aspect, I knew he'd be back physically. I think the hardest part, I would say, would be more the mental aspect of it than it would be the physical part.
And how hard was that for you to watch him go through this?
I mean, it was kind of a bad dream, the whole thing, because I remember when it happened, I didn't really know what happened. And then I got in the octagon and saw what happened, and I walked up to him, and I remember looking down at him, and I could tell that he was kind of going into shock. He didn't really recognize anyone else that was around there until he saw me. Then when I looked at him, I told him to calm down, take a breath. And right when I told him to breathe, that's right when they pulled his leg and straightened it. So that image is always kind of in my head, but I mean, to me, it's going to be very satisfying to see him back in there again.
Well, I was sitting right next to Joya when it happened, and you know, it's an incredibly emotional night. But you know, did you want him to come back, or was it something that you would have kind of felt okay with if he decided, you know, I just want to heal up and be a family man now?
You know, to me, it didn't matter what he did as long as he did whatever he did. You know what I mean? So I knew he'd want to come back. I think, I'm glad he came back. You know what I mean? I think it's what he wants to do.
And when you thought of opponents, I don't know if you had a list of ideal people, but where did Nick Diaz come in on that list, or how did you kind of end up with him?
I talked to Lorenzo about this probably 2 months after he broke his leg, and I started pitching to him who I thought would bring great comeback fights and the reasons why. And Nick was one of the guys that I brought back, basically saying that it's a super fight, and they both have been out for a long time. Arguably, they're the two of the best boxers in mixed martial arts, and they're both martial artists, and I think it was going to be a good fight. Yeah,
I spoke with Nick at The Time Is Now, and he really picked up on that, the whole martial artist thing. Yeah. So I think for him, he actually really does value this greater than other fights.
He did, and I had lunch with Nick before this whole thing went down, and he told me, he says, if he thinks, you know, he's like, you know, I hope the people don't think I'm gonna. He says, I have a lot of respect for Anderson, and I hope people don't think I'm gonna go out there and talk trash about him, because I have a lot of respect for him. So I knew that it was going to be that sort of a promotion, and I think it's good, because, you know, at the end of the day, Nick sometimes gets a bad rap for a lot of things, but Nick's a great guy, very intelligent guy, very great guy. Sometimes he might not able to express himself the way he wants to express himself for one reason or another, but at the end of the day, Nick's a good dude. I like Nick, and I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's two of the biggest names in the sports fighting, and I believe this is probably one of the first real true super fights that the UFC have ever had, and I'm sure you know, and Anderson and Nick are both probably very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been following Nick's career for years, and I think he's just often misunderstood. Things getting crazy here at MTC. Something very interesting that came up during the conversation with Anderson is that while he couldn't use his legs so much, that meant the boxing was getting better. Did you see a marked improvement in his stand-up game?
Yeah, I mean, his stand-up game's always been sharp, but he definitely did. You know, he's using his hands a lot. You know, going back to his Muay Thai, and really just incorporating mixed martial arts, everything. You know, his jiu-jitsu, his wrestling has improved a lot. His boxing, of course, and his kicking too. I mean, don't misjudge his kicks. I mean, he's still kicking really, really hard.
Well, I've talked to Dr. Clapper, and yeah, he told me, he's like, oh no, listen, he's got a better leg than he ever had before now.
Yeah, he does.
It's amazing. So I do have to wonder too, we talked about the title shots, and everybody of course wants to know if he wants one, but you know, you did say he's still ranked #1. Do you think that if he beats Nick, he should get right back in there and have a title shot?
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect to Chris Weidman, I mean, in the first fight, Anderson got caught. He put his hands down, was messed around, and in the second fight, he broke his leg. So, I mean, yeah, I still think he's one of the best in the world, and that's what I think. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's my opinion, and I don't think he's cutting in front of anybody. At the end of the day, it's just he's had some time off.
Did you feel anything, about the way that Chris handled that second victory? Because, yes, for a lot of people, it's got an asterisk. Well, you didn't really win. And he says, of course, well, I won because that's actually an offensive move to check the kick. But
I don't know if that's an offensive move. I mean, if you watch the, like I said, taking no disrespect to, I mean, it's very difficult to say that you plan to do that. I mean, you could plan to block and check a kick because your first fight you weren't checking kicks. So he checked it, and if you watch the fight, I mean, it was almost like a little bit of an instinct that he kind of like got spooked, and that's how it wasn't like he said, oh, I'm going to put my knee right here for him to kick. I think it was just, he put it there. No, like I said, no disrespect, but I mean, for him to go out there and say that that's what he was planning on doing, I find that hard to believe.
The idea was in the past that Lyoto stayed at 205 while Anderson was at middleweight, and now that Lyoto is at middleweight doing very well, where does that stand? Lyoto, I guess, has said he would fight Anderson, but Anderson says he wouldn't fight Lyoto. What's the position?
Well, I think you ask people, fighters, that, and what are they going to say? What are they going to say? You ask someone, are you going to fight? Of course they're going to say they're going to fight. But I don't think Lyoto wants to fight Anderson the same way Anderson doesn't want to fight Lyoto. But I think that if it's in a position that one of them are holding the title and one of them want to get the title, I don't think it's either one's right to not allow the other one to not get what they're both fighting for. So that's what I think, and I think that sometimes Lyoto may have gotten kind of misinterpreted what he was saying. It's not that he's looking for, he doesn't want to fight Anderson. None of us wanted that fight to happen. But if it's something for a title, then I could see. So I don't think that you're going to see them fighting just for a #1 contender. It doesn't make sense for them because their friendship is much more valuable than the money.
How's he going to beat Luke Rockhold?
I think
it's a tough fight.
It's a tough fight for Luke. No, just kidding. No, it's a tough fight. It is a tough fight. Luke Rockhold's a hell of a fighter, and so is Lyoto. So I think that that's a true contender fight.
And lastly, I should ask you about RFA. How's the organization coming along? When's your next event?
Yeah, the organization's coming along great. We're going to do 12 events this year. We've already done one this year, and then our next event is the week after Anderson's fight here in Orange County. You guys should come cover it.
I should come cover it.
Yeah.
We'll be in town. That's
February 6th.
And let's do it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Please come. You'll really enjoy it. Our show's doing really well. Like I said, we just renewed our television contract for another 2 years. And like I said, my goal is still the same from when I came on board. It's like I want to be the college football of mixed martial arts.
Nice. That's a great idea.
That's what I want to do. That's what we've wanted to do, and I think we're able to do that. I mean, in 23 events, we've put 31 people in the UFC, so it's going as planned.
Very nice. All right, well, we'll be in touch about coming down on the 6th. Thanks so much, Ed.
Thank you.